morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, let me be brutally honest with all of you, like I'm in the confessional, as I like to say. I was planning on talking about the economy, Trump's incredible achievements with the economy, frankly, his massive successes in the last 6 months. To me, I've never seen any president ever have as many consequential achievements as he has had over the last 6 months, the first 6 months of any presidency. And I wasn't planning on talking about Epstein or the Epstein files or the Epstein list, because we've done several shows and you know where I stand, and most of you have expressed where you stand. But holy shamoly, holy mackerel. You want to talk about Trump having an angry reaction. You want to talk about Trump just giving it now to some of his supporters. In fact, many of his supporters with both barrels. He went on Truth Social yesterday and he let it all hang out. And what you can tell now is that the demand of many of his supporters, I would even say in some ways, maybe even a majority of his supporters, for the Epstein files to be released, for there to be complete and utter transparency and accountability for what Epstein, and not just Epstein, but his sex trafficking network on behalf of the victims of all of these pedophiles, powerful men who used Epstein to victimize and sexually abuse countless underage girls, including children. That this demand now that we see all of the information and that it all be released is now clearly upsetting him now to the point where we have to ask ourselves, has Trump now gone too far, or was he just blowing off steam? Is he just ultimately just exasperated and just kind of vented? Or is this now a significant break with many, and I mean many of his voters? So on Monday morning, yesterday morning, President Trump released an absolutely explosive post on Truth Social. And let me just sum it up quickly because it's a very long post, but let me give you the heart of it. He writes that regarding the Epstein files and the demand to release the files. According to Trump, this is what he wrote. My past supporters have bought into this. I can't say the word. I'm going to get fined. Bull, you know what? Have bought into this BS. Okay, this bull crap. Let's put it that way. Hook, line, and sinker. And he went on to say, now remember, he's talking now about MAGA. He's talking about Trump voters, Trump supporters. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. He then added, I have had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. And all these people want to talk about, with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Democrats, is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And then he went on to say in particular, he really, forget doubling now, he's tripling down, that the Epstein files, he says, are one of the great hoaxes of our time. And so he starts to say that it's comparable, as he put it, to the Steele dossier, to the Russia collusion hoax, to the Hunter Biden laptop, saying, quote, these scams and hoaxes are all the Democrats are good at. It's all they have. They are no good at governing, no good at policy, no good at picking winning candidates. And so he basically what he's saying is, in fact, I'll play you the cut. He then told reporters these supporters of mine that keep asking us to release the files are quote unquote stupid. They're stupid. And I don't want their support. And that they're falling into this hoax that is now being pushed and peddled by the Democrats. And according to Trump, the Epstein files are a creation of Barack Obama, Joe Biden, John Brennan, James Comey, and the same gang that gave us the Steele dossier, Russia collusion, the Hunter Biden laptop, that it was the 51 intelligence agents who lied, the laptop from hell claiming it was Russian disinformation when it really was obviously Hunter Biden's laptop. So he's now saying it's an absolute hoax, and all you want me to do now is focus on this hoax. And by doing this, I'm playing the Democrats' game. It's going to be a scandal that will take over my presidency. And while we're not talking or focusing on my incredible achievements, both at home and abroad. And so basically he says, I don't want your support anymore. In fact, as he puts it, these are my quote, past supporters. In other words, I don't want much to do with them anymore. Now, let me right out of the gate give you exactly my take, and then I really want to hear from you, Kuhner Country. 617-266-6868, and I would love to take calls right after the break. So if you want to get on, now is the time to do it. I think part of it, clearly, it's a temper tantrum. He's angry. He's frustrated. He's done so much in 6 months. And now he feels, from Trump's point of view, he feels betrayed. I think he feels angered and betrayed by many of his supporters who are talking about the Epstein files, who want the Epstein files to be released, who are saying this is clearly now a moral stain on his presidency. And he feels in some sense betrayed. And I understand his anger. I do. I understand his frustration. I clearly do. But sometimes it's better, write something, get it off your chest, and then file it. You shouldn't sometimes press send, or in this case, return or whatever, post. I think he should not have said. And I understand his frustration, of course. I get it. You're, basically saying, look, I just want to get to work. I don't want another issue to paralyze my presidency where I'm not able to continue to achieve my goals. I've had it. It's enough. Look what I've done. Look what we can continue to do. And I don't want this now to devour and consume my presidency. So I understand where he's coming from. But now what he's doing, as I said on X last night, he is now spitting in the face of millions and millions and millions, maybe probably tens of millions of his own voters. He is separating himself from and attacking his own people. There's no question. And when you come out and say not only that they're stupid and that they're traitors and that they're weaklings, and that, essentially they're suckers for falling for this so-called hoax. But then you say, and I don't want your support. Well, okay, let's play this out. You don't want their support. Let me tell you what they're going to do. They're going to say, fine, we're not going to vote for the Democrats, obviously. So when the midterms roll around, they're not going to vote. They won't vote for the Democrats. They won't vote for you or the Republicans. So they're going to stay home. Which means millions and millions and millions of his own voters are going to stay home. Let me tell you what that means. You can take it to the bank. That means the Democrats are going to win back the House, probably win back the Senate, and you're going to get impeached over nothing. Over nothing. And the second half of your second term is going to be consumed, paralyzed, by nonstop investigations and one impeachment after another. So I don't see how you win from this. Again, as I said on X, I think this is a big mistake. I understand the anger. I understand the frustration. And what I don't get is, what is wrong, A, with releasing the files? I still don't get this. If there are lies in there, if there are people who are being unfairly accused, well, we're smart enough. We can parse and differentiate and analyze. I mean, we debunked the Steele dossier. We debunked the Hunter Biden laptop story that it was disinformation. We debunked the Steele, as I said, the Russia collusion hoax. So if there are lies in the files, we can refute them, we can explode them, we can debunk them. But even if you think there are good reasons not to release the Epstein files, have Pam Bondi and Kash Patel do a press conference.
Has your Attorney General told you this was a hoax? What evidence have you seen?
No, it's not the Attorney General. No, I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him. And it's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier that turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the intelligence, so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net, and so they try and do the Democrats' work.
That's just a taste of President Trump yesterday. He was angry. He was on the warpath. 6:19 now on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, lines are jammed. I'm going to go right to the phone lines. Let me ask all of you, and I'm going to be repeating this poll question several times during the show, because this now represents Trump's most significant break with many, many of his supporters. So I want to get the temperature of Kuhner country. Again, the poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's quality roofing, siding, and windows. President Trump lashed out at MAGA and their focus on the Epstein files, and said they were being duped by Democrats, and he did not need their support. Does he mean it? Or was he just exasperated? Do you think he's sincere? He basically, here's the middle finger, kiss off. Bye. Don't ever support me again. I'm done with you. A, he means it. B, he was upset. It's a temper tantrum. He's just exasperated, blowing off steam, and maybe he shouldn't have put it in a post. So, A, he means it. B, he's completely exasperated. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER. You can also vote via X. And again, I was active on X last night. My handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, KUHNER. Henry in Walpole, you're going to kick us off, Henry. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Jeff, I agree completely with Trump. Let's flush Epstein and Biden down the toilet. Let's have no more discussion about those two guys. That's, if we allow this to continue, it's going to consume Trump's administration for the next couple of years. That's all we'll have. Hearings, denials, finger pointing, investigations, news coverage, blah, blah, blah. That's all we'll be talking about. Trump is right. Drop it. It's over. Epstein's dead. He was a pervert, as were a lot of other people who will deny it. So why do we want to carry this on forever? Forget it. Flush Epstein down the toilet.
Henry, let me ask you, the fact that, did he just hang up? Okay. I was going to ask him a follow-up question, but let me ask it to you, the audience. The fact that he says to all of those who want the files released, and remember, he's the one that said he wanted to release the files initially. He's the one that told Pam Bondi, release the files. Remember this. This is a very important point. Like, this is what I would say. If he and I were in the living room, I'd say, well, Mr. President, with all due respect, you told her to release the JFK files, the Martin Luther King Jr. files, and the Epstein files. Now, she hasn't released the files. Now she says she's not going to release the files. So she made a big deal that she was going to release the files and then has done a 180. You are now backing her decision. So according to your own supporters, they're saying, well, didn't you promise us full transparency? Didn't you tell us you were going to release it? So now the problem is it looks like you're covering up something. That's the problem. And, and ultimately, don't we want these people who preyed and raped and molested children and underage girls? Don't we want to see some kind of justice done? Now, again, what I don't get is what skin off of his back or Pam Bondi's back or Kash Patel's back for the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, with, say, Patel and Bongino beside her, to do, say, a 60-minute or a 90-minute press conference, if you're not going to release the files, and you claim there are excellent reasons why, they're claiming, well, false people may get ensnared, there's accusations that are unproven, this could destroy people's careers without actually having a conviction, whatever. Okay, fine. Lay it out there. Explain it. Talk, that's what you do. Give your reasons why. At least there's a sense then, okay, well, there's some openness here. But instead, we're not releasing it, and you're never going to see these files again, and Epstein committed suicide. Shut up. Don't ask any more questions. There was no client list. Shut up. Don't ask any more questions. He never blackmailed anybody. Shut up. Don't ask any more questions. And we're not going to prosecute anyone. Shut up and fall in line. And now it's not even shut up and fall in line. Now it's basically you're a traitor. According to him, you're stupid, you're a weakling, you're a traitor, and I don't want your support. To me, it's the last one. Okay, you want to insult your own voters, that's up to you. But I don't want your support? Without our support, you wouldn't be president of the United States. Without our support, you wouldn't be where you are now. Without the support of tens and tens of millions of, these are hardcore Trump voters who want to see justice done regarding Epstein. So, okay, what if they stay at home? They're just listening to you now. No, hey, I don't want your support. I'm done with you. Okay, they stay home. What happens in the midterms? So, this is what I'm saying. What are in those files? That's what honestly, my reaction now is opposite of yours, Henry's. What's in those files? So, I get it. You're angry. They're not talking about everything that you've done, which is absolutely incredible. Okay, President Trump now, he's had it. He's reached his breaking point. He's had it. Being asked questions about the Epstein files, about the decision by Pam Bondi and the FBI, the DOJ and the FBI, to not release the files and the conclusions that they've made regarding Epstein's suicide and whether there is a client list and whether he blackmailed anybody. And so he let it rip, both on True Social, attacking. This was what stunned everybody. He attacked many of his supporters who have been calling for the release of the Epstein files. He said these are political weaklings, some of the traitors. He says he's had it with them, that they're stupid people who are falling for what he says is a hoax that was created by Obama and Biden and Brennan and Comey. And he says, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, these are past supporters. I do not want their support anymore. Listen now to Trump. This was in the Oval Office. And I mean, he was red hot. He was talking about the CEO of Home Depot, which, by the way, I had the cut. That was the plan for today's show, was how Trump is now really starting to kill it on the economy. He is really now starting to get his agenda through, and it's starting to work. So much so that even the CEO of Home Depot, who is a Democrat, who said that Trump's tariffs were going to be a disaster and spark a recession, yesterday came out with a big statement saying, I was wrong. Trump was right. His policies are working. His tariffs are working. And the economy is now roaring back. Listen now to Trump saying, nobody's talking about that because it's all Epstein all the time, and I've had it. Roll cut 1B, Mike.
A great gentleman yesterday, as you know, went on CNBC and he made the statement that Trump may go down as the greatest president of all in the United States. And instead of talking about the things we've achieved, we've had tremendous achievement. They're wasting their time with a guy who obviously had some very serious problems, who died 3-4 years ago. I'd rather talk about the success we have with the economy, the best we've ever had, and all of the things we've done, including in the Middle East. I mean, you see it. Instead, they want to talk about the Epstein hoax. And the sad part is it's people that are really doing the Democrats' work. They're stupid people. Yeah, go ahead.
So he's talking about MAGA and Trump supporters and voters. Now, one more. A reporter says, well, you know, in your Truth Social, you said you don't want their support anymore. That, you know, you're done with them. I want nothing to do with you. Do you really mean it? Well, here was Trump's response. Roll cut. In other words, are you disowning now your supporters who want the Epstein files to be released? Roll cut 2, Mike.
You mentioned past supporters when you were talking about the Epstein issue. Does that mean that you're effectively disowning any supporters who are now...
I lost a lot of faith in certain people, yeah. I lost because they got duped by the Democrats.
Okay, my question to you. What do you make now of what Trump wrote and what he said? That he no longer wants the support of his own voters and MAGA if they want to see the Epstein files released. And for those of you that do, like me, who do want to see the Epstein files released, do you feel betrayed by the president? Do you feel rejected and disowned by the president? 617-266-6868. What do you think now the political fallout of this is going to be? Or was it just he's upset, he blew off some steam, he's exasperated, but we'll all kiss and make up in the end? Susie in Bedford, thanks for holding and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Kuhner Country, and good morning, President Trump. I want to start with, I have all the respect and admiration for President Trump. I am forever grateful for him stepping up to the plate and doing his best to save our country, because everybody says we dodged a bullet. No, we dodged an atomic bomb by not getting Kamalama Ding Dong Dumbass and Tampon Tim for the administration now. I appreciate that. I will always appreciate that. I will always be very thankful and grateful. That being said, if there in fact is not a little black book or a list, then my question first of all is, why is Ghislaine Maxwell still in jail? She has been indicted, she has been prosecuted, she has been convicted. If there is no list, then why is she in jail? Second, and most importantly, and this is the point that I really, truly, honestly want to make, I don't care about Epstein. He was foul, he was evil, he was vile. What he did was despicable, and his victims deserve justice. Now, there are still people alive that have not got their true comeuppance, let's say. They have not been prosecuted for what they committed, the vile, evil rapes that they committed against children. These children deserve to see that there is justice out there. And you know what? I don't want to vote for somebody. I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. I don't want that vile, evil monster representing our country. And I understand this is a worldwide problem. It happens. There's people around the world. I don't care about them. I care about my country. I love my country. I am very patriotic. I will be patriotic to my dying breath. But I do not want evil, vile pedophiles representing my country in government or anywhere. There is one solution for a pedophile, and that's to execute them, because there is no rehabilitation. And I'm not open for discussion about that, period. I don't care about the hoax or whatever he's saying it is. I'm not stupid. I am relatively intelligent. Most people in this country are relatively intelligent. We can figure out what is fact and what is a lie, but we need the opportunity to make that decision, not have it made for ourselves. Because, again, we're not a communist country. We have the right to know. We have the right to make that decision. We have the right to not vote for these pedophiles and keep them in government. We don't want them in government.
Susie, very powerful. Very, very powerful, very passionate, very moving. I've got less than 30 seconds. Trump is saying someone like you who voted for him but wants these files to be released, he doesn't want your support anymore. What's your response?
I'm going to support him anyway because I'm very grateful. I'm very appreciative. I'm going to support him regardless. I'm not happy that, he's telling me what's in my best interest. Again, I want these pedophiles prosecuted. I want them held accountable. I want them to pay their price for the abuse.
617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is from 603. You can text the Kuhner Man, 70470, 70470. And I think it's a very, very interesting theory. Jeff, this is what I think has happened. A few weeks ago, President Trump ordered Pam Bondi to open up and release the Epstein files. When his people opened up what they have, they discovered that because the Democrats have had possession of these files for the past 4 years, the deep state under Joe Biden has removed and destroyed anything that would implicate high-level prominent Democrats. At the same time, the deep state inserted into the files various kinds of false information implicating Donald Trump. So when Trump was filled in by his DOJ and FBI, what was actually in the now corrupted and compromised files, Trump said, this is all a load of bull. I can't say it. Bravo Sierra. We can't release this to the public. It's another Democrat hoax. That's exactly what I think has happened here. And I think Trump needs to handle this better by confronting and revealing what has actually happened. Now, look, on 603, I agree with you. If this, and I'm underlining the word if that's what happened, and I wouldn't put anything past the Democrats, you're talking about a bunch of crooks and gangsters. So if they did destroy a lot of the files and compromise the files and then inserted false information into the files to try to implicate Trump or members of his cabinet or God knows what, then to me, that's okay. I mean, it's not okay that they did it, but okay, that's what it is. Then he needs to say it and I think clearly explain it to the public and especially to his supporters. Say, look, here's what's happened. I asked them to look into it. The files have been destroyed, or a lot of them have. They've been compromised and corrupted. And they're trying to turn this now into another hoax. In other words, explain, talk, more transparency. But this, my way or the highway. Trust me, trust Pam Bondi, trust Kash Patel, trust Dan Bongino, on faith, and look at the conclusions they're asking us to accept. You know, he's not coming out and saying, listen, they tampered with the files. I don't want to say anything more. What they've come out and said is it was a suicide. Don't question. There was no client list. Don't question. There was nobody blackmailed, which we know is a lie. Don't question. And everybody, there's going to be no investigations. No one's going to jail. And don't question. And then it's, well, can't you just release the files? Well, now I don't want your support. Now, I'm sorry, you're stupid, you're a weakling, and I don't want your support. So, I mean, it's just now he's at war with his own base. And so, look, now he's lashing out and disowning millions of his supporters. Now, it's his right. I mean, I've never seen anybody do this before. You know, Grace said to me last night, she said, Jeff, this is almost equivalent to Hillary Clinton and her deplorables comment. I said, no, I said it's not, because Hillary Clinton was insulting the voters of her opponent. But what Trump is now doing, he's attacking his very own voters, or to be more accurate, he's saying, listen, you want to keep talking about Epstein and the files? Don't support me. I don't want your vote. Okay, then how does this play out in the midterms? By the way, you want to primary somebody. Good luck. If you're telling your supporters to go, kiss off, so you want to primary somebody, they're going to stay home. You want to keep winning and prevent yourself from being impeached, and the Democrats taking over Congress, good luck. They're going to stay home. So even if you accept everything that 603 says, and he may be completely right, the way it's been handled, it's a disaster. Am I wrong? 617-266-6868. Eric in Rentham. Thanks for holding, Eric, and welcome.
Hey, Kuhner, man.
Hi, Eric.
I just want to touch on what one of the previous callers did say, too. If there is no files or whatever, then why is just Maxwell sitting in prison for? And that's what nobody can seem to answer. But the other thing, too, is, if I'm J.D. Vance and whoever's looking at, 2028 here, I'm kind of curious your perspective on this, too. How do you play this with Trump to keep the base happy, but at the same time you don't want to piss Trump off because you still got to go through the presidency with him? I don't know what Trump is doing, and I voted for him the last 3 times, and he's just completely turning me off in a nonsensical way. But I'm not exactly sure what his angle is on this one at all. And the last couple of things he's done, it hasn't been America first. It's been the swamp first. So I'm just curious what you think about that, too.
Well, look, Eric, I'm getting a lot of very good texts and messages on Messenger. And this is I'm talking about Messenger now for a second. People I really respect, okay? People I have the highest respect for, callers, listeners. And they're saying, look, Jeff, I'm not happy with the whole Epstein thing, the way it's been handled. But is this the hill we want to die on in terms of MAGA and, Trump and the America First movement? We've got rapists, we've got mass murderers, we've got invaders that we have to deport from our country, which I agree. We've got so much we need to do on so many levels. I mean, we've just begun to get our work done and to save our country. So are we willing now to die over this on this hill? And I get that point. I do. But I want to flip it because I think there's another side to it. And I think this is the question now Trump has to ask himself. Is Epstein the hill you want to die on? Is this worth it? Is it worth it now for you to be feuding with at least millions, if not tens of millions of your own voters? Is it worth it? What's in that list that for some reason is worth it, that you're willing to pay a tremendous political cost? Look, you're not calling Democrats stupid. You're not even calling rhinos stupid. Hell, you're not even calling Republicans stupid. You're calling now your own supporters and voters stupid. And you're calling them a bunch of weaklings. And you're saying they're traitors. Because they just want the list. So, they're not asking for I don't know what. And by the way, you promised that you would release the list. You ordered, this was, a couple months ago, whatever it was. You ordered the list to be released. Pam Bondi said she wanted to release the list. Look, remember, I don't want to, go too much into the weeds here, but Eric, do you remember, I believe it was February. Okay, it was either March or February, so don't quote me. But it was early in Trump's presidency, his second term, when he called all of these big MAGA influencers, podcasters, talk show hosts, social media influencers, and they all came to the White House. And they were all given these huge binders about the Epstein files phase 1. And it was Pam Bondi, Kash Patel that were giving it to them. Like, here's everything we have on Epstein so far. You're going to get so much more. And everybody was holding up these binders like, yeah, we're starting to drain the swamp. Yeah, we're getting real accountability, real transparency. Trump green-lighted that. Bondi green-lighted that. Kash Patel green-lighted that. I'm just stating the obvious. So now, all of a sudden, shut up. Don't ask. Don't tell. Don't say a word. Just move on. And if you ask for the files, if you ask for phase 2 or phase 3, because they were promising much more was going to come out, and that they were going to release all of it. Now you're a traitor, and I don't want your support. So what's happened? That's what I want to know. What happened in the last 3 or 4 months? So, look, everybody is speculating. Is he protecting friends? Are some of his donors involved? Are family members involved? Is that scenario that 603 laid out? No, they corrupted everything. They compromised everything. No, now it's a trick. Now it's a trap. Okay, whatever it is, it's not worth it. It's at this point, is it worth it? I don't think it's worth it. So, and again, I go back to what I said last week, and I still stand by that. When they announced in that memo that they were not going to release any more information, and that there were going to be no other investigations, no prosecutions, no one's going to jail, case closed. You're going to be asked that question at the cabinet meeting. You had an open cabinet meeting. It's going to come up. It's inevitable. Let Pam Bondi, let Doorknob answer the question. Just, you have a layer of separation. The question is asked, you go, okay, yeah, that was Pam Bondi. She wrote the memo along with Kash and Dan Bongino. Pam, you want to speak to that, please? But instead, what did he do? He's the one that interjected himself directly. I'm just stating a fact. And said, you're still going on about that? Who the hell goes on about that? The guy's been dead for years. This is a non-issue. And then remember, he said this is a desecration of the dead girls in Texas in the flooding. How dare you? Like, you should be ashamed to even ask the question. Now, think about it. You're like, well, hold on. You told us all this information was going to come out. You held the binders. You had this big event at the White House. She said the files were on her desk. She was reviewing them. And now, all of a sudden, you tell us case closed and we're not even supposed to ask a question? That's when everybody said there's something wrong here. So by him directly interjecting himself, that's when everybody's antenna went up. That's when they said, no, this is highly unusual. What's going on here? And now it's just getting worse and worse and worse. So the question I have for President Trump is this the hill you want to die on? I don't mean, look, he's going to serve out his term. He's still president. He's a brilliant president. He's an effective president. But now if you're telling your voters to stay home, you're going to get your rear end handed to you at the midterms. Like, I mean, if you're telling your people don't vote for me. Well, they're not. I'll tell you this. Look, I'm going to vote for the guy. I'm going out in the midterms. I want to urge everybody to vote in the midterms. But there's going to be a lot of people out there, like Steve Bannon said, hey, if just 10% of Trump's base doesn't show up, just 10%, the Democrats win 30 to 40 seats in the House, they start impeaching on day one. What are we doing then for the second half of his second term? He's playing defense, and he's just going to be fighting off impeachment after impeachment, investigation after investigation. So respect your voters. Talk to them. If there's a legitimate reason, tell them why. Hold a press conference. And in the end, ask yourself, is this really worth all this political damage? And now it's self-inflicted. So I don't understand what's going on. Everybody's scratching their head. Everybody. And it's a mess. Now it's a mess. Now, what I'm hoping is, because Trump did say, and I'm going to play the cut, Eric, and I'm going to get your reaction. This was Trump, was then pressed, because then he said, okay, look, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Go to Pam Bondi. You have any more questions about this? I'm done. Go to the Attorney General. Then a reporter says, well, what if Pam Bondi decides to release the files on her own? Are you going to be happy with that? Well, listen now to this. Here's another curveball. Roll cut 3, Mike.
You asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to release more documents to finally put this controversy to rest.
Yeah, whatever's credible, she can release. If a document is credible, if a document's there that is credible, she can release. I think it's good. But it's just a subject. He's dead. He's gone. And all it is the Republicans, certain Republicans got duped by the Democrats, and they're following a Democrat playbook. And no different than Russia, and all the other hoaxes. They're started by the Democrats. And some Republicans, in this case I was surprised, but they got duped.
Eric, now he says, okay, if the documents are credible, in other words, they haven't been compromised or corrupted, she can release them. So I'm now like, what? So what are we arguing about now? I mean, so if she can release them, those that haven't been corrupted or compromised, then what? So do you want her support now? What I'm saying, Eric, is he's now even saying he's willing to just say, okay, release the files. So what's the point of all this? Look, I believe in a very firm policy. This is the way I've led my life. This is the way I lead everything I do. And it's never failed me wrong. And it sounds corny, but I'm telling you it's true. The truth shall set you free. Just walk in the light. Speak the truth. Release the truth. Let the chips fall where they may. What is morally wrong can never be politically right. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. So, he didn't cover up Epstein. Obama covered up Epstein. Joe Biden covered up Epstein. This has been going on for 20 years. They covered up for this man. Epstein was a very prominent Democrat. He was a huge Democrat donor. Most of the people who flew to Epstein, this is open source material. From Bill Clinton to Bill Gates to Prince Andrew, I can go on and on, okay? You want names? Barack Hussein Obama. I could go on. Leading directors in leading directors and actors in Hollywood, big lefties, big Democrats. Why would you want to defend all these powerful Democrats? This has been known. This is public knowledge for the last 20-some years. So it's not his scandal. He's not covering up Epstein. Obama did, Biden did, Comey did, Brennan did. This idea now, this is somehow a hoax created by them. I'm like, I don't know what these people are talking about. We've been asking for this now for 10, 15 years to release the files. So just release them and let the chips fall where they may. And if some people are, falsely accused or whatever, well, they'll be able to defend themselves. We can separate truth from fiction. We've done it for everything else. We can do it for this. There's something there he doesn't want released. I don't know what that is, but it's clear there's something there that he doesn't want to see the light of day. Eric, final word to you.
Oh, I agree with you. There's something there that he doesn't want released. But to say this too, even if his name is on it, just humor me for a second. You would have heard about that when he ran the first time. You would have heard about it during the presidency. You would have heard about it during when he was running against Biden. So it's whatever's on there just doesn't make sense what he's covering up. Because if it's like you said, if it's his name, that would have been out in the open.
Yes.
And that would have been used against him.
No question.
10,000 times already.
No question. And Epstein said it hundreds of times. He's not on the list. I have nothing on him. Epstein said it. Epstein's lawyer said, I pressed him and I pressed him and I pressed him. I said, this is our ticket. We got to do this. Come on. What do you have? He goes, I got nothing. So it's not Trump. He's not protecting himself. I don't know if it's a family member. I don't know. I mean, all I can do is speculate. I don't know if it's friends, powerful donors, a family member. I don't know. I don't know. Or he's using this as a cudgel to go after certain people so that he can get his agenda passed. In other words, you blackmail the blackmailers. Because now you have their kompromat, as the Russians put it, their compromised information and pictures and videos, and say, you better play ball unless you don't want this to go out to the public. So it could be that. It could be a million things. But I think it's clear he doesn't want, there's something there he doesn't want released. I can't read the evidence any other way. Eric, thank you for that call. Dave in Boston. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Thanks for having me on, Jeff.
My pleasure, Dave. What do you make of all this?
This is so Orwellian. So he wants us to forget everything we've seen with our eyes, heard with our ears, forget the 2,000 flight logs that the FAA has, and now you got this guy, Lutkin, that's hanging around Trump, who was Epstein's neighbor for 23 years. Now we have this guy hanging around Trump, Lutkin, in the shadows, probably telling Trump what to say. Do you think I care what a CEO of Home Depot says? My groceries are the same. My gas is the same. My interest rates are the same. I don't care. If the country has to burn down for this list to come out, let the list come out. We should not be protecting these people. And that's all I have to say. This runs really deep. There's a lot of players in this game. It's all dirty. They're all dirty.
Dave, 30 seconds before the break. Trump says someone like you voted for him, wants these files released. He says, I don't want your support. What's your answer?
He's got to do something. If he's not going to release this list, he's got to make these groceries and gases cheaper. But yeah, I lost. I voted for Trump, and my support is really, really, disappearing. The more I'm finding out about this Lutkin guy, these players in this game, you're going to have all these social influencers come out and, make this big deal, and then, like Orwell said, make everybody forget about it, like it never even happened. Like what you see with your eyes and what.
Yeah, now it's getting to the point. Are you going to believe your lying eyes? 617-266-6868. Angelo in Rockland. Thanks for holding, Angelo, and welcome.
Jeff, wow, crazy things going on. I just want to say that. Just remember, Jesus Christ himself was able to perform miracles, and he wasn't able to straighten out the world. So looking at Trump, He's not a vindictive rat bastard like the Democrats. All they want is blood, and these conspiracies from Russia or whatever. So one of your earlier callers, I think, hit the nail on the head saying about how all those files were tainted and whatever they did. But that's pretty good because you have lawyers, Maxwell, everybody willing to talk. Let them go through Pam Bondi, whatever they got to do, get it all out, and then compare notes and let the American people decide what's going on there. You'll see that it's going to be a big lie. But he won't even have to do the dirty work. Get Maxwell in there and these other people that are willing to, see justice for the people that were basically raped at hand. Now, the two different types of voters for MAGA, I think I'm definitely a MAGA supporter, and I like the idea that we beat Kamala Harris and that horrible machine. And we're going in a positive direction with the economy. Gas is going to come down. Everything's going to get better. It takes time. You don't have a magic wand. But for the other voters for MAGA, they're almost like, I'm not putting you down. You love Trump, but you're almost foaming for the mouth for revenge. You got to slow down. Remember, the auto pen is out there, and Fauci and them will see the light when everything comes to be. So I think for the two types of MAGA supporters, that's what we have. And the Democrats are smart. They threw this out there in the whirlwind for the foamers, let's call it. The MAGA supporters that want that revenge so bad that the Epstein files are going to liberate us and we're going to get them and all that baloney. It's all going to come down. And like you said, the truth will come out and everything will be fine. That's how I'm seeing it here. And one other thing before I get cut off here, New York, you cannot be nice. Being nice, the people that want to take over America, the radical Islams, are definitely taking advantage of be nice, be kind, because they're sticking it right to us. So I have to say to New York is say no to radical Islam. That mayor's father supports jihad and bombing, and he taught his son that. You got to see the light. Look at London. Look at Europe. Look what's going on. Not here in America. New York, stand up. And Scott, the artist out there, who is a big supporter of freedom and everything. God bless him. We need more people like him. What do you say, Jeff?
Well, Angelo, look, I think you push your finger on something very important. Because, we've got elections coming up later this year, and then we've got obviously the big midterms next year. And you can see what's happening in New York. By the way, it's happening in Minneapolis now. There is another Muslim socialist that's going to be running for mayor, doing extremely well. He's from Somalia, or his parents are from Somalia. So he's of Somali descent. But what you're seeing now is the radical left, the radical communist left, they're in the saddle. Karen Bass in L.A., you've got Mamdani now about to win in New York. You've got this crazy Somali socialist in Minneapolis. You've got Brandon Johnson in Chicago. It's now AOC and Bernie's party. And so the American people are going to be faced with a big choice next year. Do you want to give these crazy commie Marxists the power of the purse? You want to give them control over the House and maybe over the Senate so they can continue to burn down this country and further divide it and polarize it? If you think things are bad now, you wait if they grab power in 2026. Now, that's why I think hopefully everybody's going to kiss and make up and put this behind us, because Trump is going to have a war on his hands, a real political war, if he loses the midterms. We're really up a creek without a paddle. So that's why I keep saying over and over again, are the Epstein files worth it? Are they worth it? I don't think they are. Now, let me just say one final thing. And Angelo, thank you very much for that call. You mentioned the Epstein files and Ghislaine Maxwell. Here's another thing that bothers me. Why is everybody on Capitol Hill afraid to let Ghislaine Maxwell testify? As people have rightly mentioned, well, if there are no clients, if all of these victims who said it wasn't just Epstein that raped them and molested them and abused them, it was, their words, very powerful men. Very powerful men. I mean, they don't know who they are. They were 13, 14, 15 years old at the time, and so they were, many of them were blindfolded or put in sex dungeons or whatever. But they go, I'm telling you, it wasn't just Epstein. So if that's the case, and I believe them, then why are you protecting this pedophile network? Ghislaine Maxwell says that there was a list. Ghislaine Maxwell says it wasn't just Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell says others were being blackmailed. Why won't you let her testify? She said, I'm willing to tell my story under oath, and let me testify in front of Congress, in front of the American people, and they'll know exactly what happened. They're blocking her. They don't want her to testify. They're telling her she can't testify. So they're preventing the truth from coming out. Why? Why? It's obvious. Because people in Congress are petrified of the names that she's going to name. Now, this is not going to go away. I mean, look, he controls the DOJ, Trump does. He controls the FBI. They're his institutions now. So, you don't have to release the files. You can keep it all sealed. But the questions are going to linger and linger and linger and linger and linger. And the more he keeps attacking now his own voters, the more this is looking like a massive self-inflicted political wound. Let Ghislaine Maxwell speak. What is everybody afraid of? So to me, look, if it looks like a cover-up, talks like a cover-up, smells like a cover-up, acts like a cover-up, it's a cover-up. And for the life of me, here's what I don't get. Biden covered it up. Obama covered it up. The Democrats covered it up. Suddenly now it's going to be Trump is covering this up. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, President Trump yesterday, both from the Oval Office, in questions and answers with reporters, and obviously on Truth Social in a blistering post, a fiery post, has now lashed out, or he is lashing out, and really starting now to distance himself significantly from a good chunk of his voting base, saying these voters of his, supporters, who keep calling for the Epstein files to be released, he says are weaklings, stupid. They are political traitors as far as he's concerned, who are falling into the hoax, this trap being set by the Democrats. And he considers them past supporters, and he says he no longer wants their support. My question to you, is this just Trump blowing off steam, exasperation, frustration? Or do you think this means now a more permanent break with at least a good part of the voters and supporters who put him in office? Are we now watching a slow motion divorce? 617-266-6868. Kim in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Kim, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I think with this whole Epstein thing, I'm kind of looking at it from I think this is a different sort of a scandal. I mean, I'm an adult survivor of. I was molested through most of my childhood by a family member, and I think, in my heart, absolutely goes out to the survivors of the kids that were involved in this. It's not like a financial scandal of some politician or a group of them or whatever. But I'm also trying to see it from the other perspective of, yes, Trump's a businessman. He's got to be like more, cold and calculated. If one deal doesn't work, you move on. And I'm very concerned about like the thing in New York with they call him Zorro with I don't really feel that I know enough of what's going on with him, but I know it's the whole, like, everybody knows what's. Anyway, been having a very difficult time lately, and it just dawned on me the other day, like when that whole Penn State thing was going on, that would. It's just some scandals affect you differently. Am I making any sense?
Oh, you're making perfect sense. And look, Cam, I am very sorry, truly, for what happened to you as a child. It is unimaginable. It's unspeakable. What was done to you is one of the worst things, maybe the worst thing that can be done to a human being. That obviously, and rape, I consider that the same. Molesting a child and rape. And they're beyond evil, they're beyond vile. And in a way, you never really truly recover from that. Your innocence was taken away from you. It's an unspeakable crime. I don't want to get, religious, but even in the Bible, Jesus specifically points out those who abuse and molest children. He actually says it. It's better that you were never born. Like, your punishment is eternal damnation. That's no joke. That's, that's the ultimate form of punishment. So it's the worst thing you can do to somebody. And no, Penn State, it sickened me what they allowed Jerry Sandusky to get away with. Molesting boys, underage boys, and for years and years and years and years. And then everybody turned on Joe Paterno, the coach, because he clearly turned a blind eye. He willfully turned a blind eye to all of this that was happening right underneath his nose. And look, I'm sorry. I don't care what people think. Of course I care. I respect this audience immensely. But what I mean is, here I stand. I can do no other. There are some lines in a civilized society you just don't cross. And protecting child molesters and pedophiles is one of them. And that's why, to me, this is not, when he says Russia, and the Epstein files is a hoax similar to Russia, or to the Hunter Biden laptop, or to, all the other scandals. Well, I defended him on Russia. I defended him on Hunter Biden. I defended him on the stolen election. I defended him on every single hoax that they made. On the Steele dossier, I defended him. And to be fair, so did the overwhelming majority of the people who voted for him. This is different because it involves children, and we need to know answers. Now, if they're telling us that they thought there was going to be evidence in the files that turned out to not be true, then say it. Like, again, I go back to this. What's wrong with the press conference? What's wrong with being open and honest and say, we thought we were going to find this. We didn't find it. Here's what we didn't find. Here's what we did find. Whatever. Just be honest about it. Be open. Be transparent. But no, it's shut up. Don't ask questions. Fall in line. And if not, you're a traitor. You're stupid. You're a weakling. And now it's, I don't even want you to vote for me, or I don't want your support. Okay. I'm still going to support the guy, obviously, because I love him and I love his policies. But okay, you want to spit in your voters' faces. I don't see how that's a winning strategy for you, because Mamdani wants your throat. Let's be very clear. The left is going for his throat, and after him, they're coming for us. So we're facing a communist revolution in the making, a Democratic Party that has been taken over by left-wing Marxist lunatics. So this is why, to me, I don't know what's in the Epstein files that is worth you openly now feuding and lashing out and attacking many of your supporters. I don't know what's in there. It can't be that bad unless I'm naive. So it's okay. Mistakes are made. People make mistakes all the time. So talk to Pam Bondi, talk to Kash Patel. Dan Bongino, who was going to quit, is not quitting. He's now back. So talk to them and say, okay, We're going to have more transparency. We're going to open up. We're going to tell everybody what we, if we're not going to release it, here's exactly why we're not releasing it. If we've changed our mind, this is why we've changed our mind. Or let's just release it. There is another way out. Here, let me just play it. A special counsel. What's wrong with a special counsel? Roll, cut. Well, it's a 7-second cut, Mike. You got to play the music. I mean, this is incredible. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, here is the 7-second clip regarding a question. Reporter asked Trump about a special counsel. Maybe you should appoint one. Special prosecutor, as it's now called, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein, the trafficking network, the Epstein files, all of it. Now, remember, when I called for the cut in the last segment, we still had 30 seconds left. But Mike overruled me, that 7 seconds, and then he had to play the music, and it's too much, Jeff. So here is the clip that Mike didn't want to play in the last segment, but hopefully will play now. No, technically, Mike is saying, Mike's saying he has all the power. He's telling me he has all the leverage. He can still say no now. So hopefully, Mike, you'll be nice about it. And please, if you could play the cut, roll cut for Mike.
President Trump, would you consider appointing a special counsel to investigate the Jeffrey Epstein investigation?
I have nothing to do with it.
So, in other words, no. Why do I have to call a special prosecutor? I've got nothing to do with this. And this is Pam Bondi's call if she wants a special prosecutor. Why not call a special prosecutor? It's got to be somebody objective, independent, with real moral, legal authority, who's going to do an actual real investigation. And, and then let the chips fall where they may. To me, that's another solution. There's many solutions to this. But it seems now that the way they've rolled this thing out and the way they've handled it, it's now turning into an absolute, they're being ensnared. They're tying themselves up in knots. So the question now is, again, is Epstein worth it? Now, I want to read to you very quickly, because this is what set off the firestorm. Was even more than the interview that he gave with reporters yesterday, the presser, the Q&A. It was what he wrote on Truth Social. And clearly he was upset. He was not happy. He was angry. And so it's a long post. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm just going to read certain parts of it. So he says, here's what he says. The radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again. And he says, just like with the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, the lying 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, which the Dems swore had come from Russia. No, it came from Hunter Biden's bathroom. And even the Russia scam itself, a totally fake and made up story. And he goes on how this was used to hide crooked Hillary Clinton's big defeat in 2016. He says that's all the Democrats are good at. He goes on to say they're no good at governing, which is true. They're not good at policy, very true. And not good at picking winning candidates, also very true. He then says this. Also, unlike Republicans, they stick together like glue. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters have bought into this. I can't say it. I'm going to get fined, but he writes it out completely, into this bull crap, okay, or BS, Bravo Sierra. My past supporters have bought into this bull, you know what, hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will, even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years. I have had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. And all these people want to talk about, with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Dems, is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. And then he ends with his usual, thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. Now, super quick, and then I want to go to the phone lines. You can tell he's exasperated. You can tell he's angry, very angry. You can tell now this is really starting to get under his skin. Let me tell you where I strongly disagree with him, and I think he's making a mistake. It's not a hoax. Jeffrey Epstein was not a hoax. The sex trafficking network was not a hoax. The over 1,000 victims who were sexually molested and abused, underage girls and boys, children, was not a hoax. That Epstein was blackmailing very powerful people was not a hoax. So that's why it's very different than the Steele dossier or the Russia collusion hoax or the Hunter Biden laptop, or I can go on, because those were complete and utter fabrications and lies. So I think he's making a big mistake by even going down this road by labeling it a hoax. And by labeling it a hoax created by Obama and Comey and Brennan. Well, no, they were the ones who covered up on behalf of Epstein and his powerful friends. That's what all the Democrats did for over 10 years. That's why he himself on the campaign trail said, why are they covering up for Epstein? Release the files. It's why Pam Bondi said she's going to release the files. It's why Kash Patel, before he became FBI director, said, there is a pedophile network. The Democrats have been covering this up. I'm going to expose it when I get to the FBI. Dan Bongino said the exact same thing. So they've all done 180-degree U-turn. All of them. Now, with no explanation, except we've seen the quote-unquote evidence. They don't tell us what the evidence is. Just, we've seen the evidence. We've seen it. So he committed suicide. Shut up. There is no client list. Shut up. He never blackmailed anybody. Shut up. And we're not going to investigate anymore. No one's going to jail over this. Shut up. And we're not releasing any more of the files, even though we promised that we would. At the White House 3 months ago, you were handing out binders to powerful social media influencers and podcasters. Phase 1. Here it is. This is the first batch, first of more to come. Suddenly now, shut up. But it's not just shut up. Now it's, you're stupid, you're a weakling, you're a traitor, I'm done with you, and don't support me, and I don't want your support. Now, I'm sorry. I don't care where you stand on this issue. And I'm open to every possibility and every point of view. You know me. Okay, I'm MAGA all the way, baby. But you can't give us more of an explanation? You can't be a little bit more open and transparent? And then the final thing is Pam Bondi's doing a fantastic job. And nobody thinks she's doing a fantastic job. Even Dan Bongino doesn't think she's doing a fantastic job. That's why he threatened to resign. So by this response, what you're doing is you are feeding this scandal. I'm sorry, but the only one now throwing gasoline on the fire is him. Because the question now, everybody's like, whoa. He's now going to burn bridges with his own base? He's now turning and vilifying millions of his own voters over this issue? The logical question is, the inexorable question is, what the hell's in the files? In fact, if you go on social media, on Truth Social, his most diehard fans and supporters, they're like, we're sorry, Mr. President, but what the hell is in those files? Like, for you to turn on us like this. So, again, I keep saying this over and over again. It's not worth it. Now, the sad thing, this is the really sad thing, and I was going to spend 4 hours of the show today talking about this, but he's tamed inflation. There's no question now. I went to fill up my car 2 days ago. Regular now for me under $3. $3. It cost me $52 to fully tank up. $52. Under Biden, $80 to tank up. I'm saving $28 a week because of Trump's policies on energy. Now that's, do the math. That's not peanuts. So, that's over $100 a month. That's extra money in my pocket. I go grocery shopping. Prices are starting to come down. Not as much as I'd like. I agree. Eggs are much cheaper. Eggs since Trump took office. All right, I have the data in front of me. Eggs are down 69%. So, is he taming inflation? Yes. Are gas prices finally coming down? Yes. Is the economy now? He just pulled in another $92 billion in AI, artificial intelligence, and new technology. They're going to headquarter this in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is going to boom, man. He's added 2 million jobs for native-born workers. Foreign-born workers are losing jobs. Native-born American workers are now starting to see, like in the first term, they're getting tons of jobs now. Wages, by the way, are now going up. They're going up. Business creation now is almost at its highest level ever. We're now looking at $15 trillion in investment from overseas because of Trump's tariffs. U.S. manufacturing now, they're building plants, factories all over the country. We're on the verge of a manufacturing renaissance. Border crossings, listen to this. The lowest level in customs border protection recorded history. Recorded history. The CBP came out and said, no, in the history of, this is going, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. They go, since we've been recording border crossings, it's never been lower. The border is as sealed as it can possibly be. He's starting to really now. He got the big, beautiful bill passed, a massive achievement. They're going to pour $178 million. Sorry, billion. What million? $178 billion. You're going to have ICE agents up the wazoo, border protection up the wazoo. You are going to see mass deportation after mass deportation. He's taking on and breaking a lot of these sanctuary cities. Look what he did in Iran. He ended the Iranian nuclear threat, at least for the next couple of years. He brought peace between two nuclear powers, India and Pakistan, ended a 30-year war between Rwanda and Congo. Again, got Serbia and Kosovo, and believe me, I know that part of the world. To get them to the negotiating table and agree to a peace agreement, it's almost unheard of. He's racking up victory after victory. He's got NATO to agree to 5% spending of their GDP on military and defense. He is now going to infuse NATO with $1 trillion of their money, okay, of the European countries and Canada. $1 trillion. He's going to turn NATO into a military superpower. China now, economically, he has won the trade war against China. They've cried uncle. He just got a big trade deal with Great Britain. He got another one with Indonesia. Listen to this deal. They're going to have 0% tariffs on our goods. Our goods are going to go into Indonesia, not a fraction of 1% tariff. We're hitting them with a 19% tariff. In fact, there's a brilliant piece out in the Wall Street Journal. You should read it. Everybody should read it. Trump is winning the trade war. Everybody said he couldn't win it. He's winning the trade war. In fact, there's so much money now pouring in from the tariffs, they're on pace to rake in $250 billion this year in extra government revenue. $250 billion. The deficit, listen to this. First 6 months under Biden, the budget deficit, $741 billion. Under President Trump, $498 billion. A, tax revenues going up. B, because of the tariffs, they're taking in more customs revenue. In other words, he slashed the deficit by 1/3. 1/3. And we're just getting started, man. I mean, this is just the beginning, as that's why he's right when he says the first 6 months have been maybe the most successful of any president in American history. He's right. He's completely right. That's why, to be honest with you, I don't want your support, Kuhner. Well, I'm sorry, you're going to get it. Call me crazy, because I can't argue with results and with success. Now, I disagree with him on Ukraine. I think it's a mistake. I think we should wash our hands of it, but let that go. The only thing that is hurting him, and to me, this is where it counts, it's with his supporters. Why? These are people who voted for him 3 times. These are people who were with him through thick and thin. Every indictment, every time they went to take him off the ballot, every time they went to bankrupt his business, every time the FBI raided his home with shoot-to-kill orders, they never abandoned him. They were with him through Russia collusion. They were with him through 2 impeachments. They were with him through the stolen election. They never wavered in their support and belief in him. If they're calling, and if I'm calling, and we're calling for the Epstein files to be released, I don't think the proper answer is basically go F yourself. I'm sorry, I'm just calling it the way I see it. I don't think the proper answer is you're stupid, you're a weakling, you're a traitor, I don't want your support, don't support me. I don't think we deserve that. With all due respect, Mr. President. Now, I'm not going to give you a laundry list of top people who were with him in the trenches, from Steve Bannon, I could go on, who are saying, please release the Epstein files. Let's just take one, General Michael Flynn. General Mike Flynn posted a very classy, extremely respectful letter on X. I don't want to bore you by reading it word for word. He says, Mr. President, with utmost respect and deference, and I know what you've been through, and I respect you so much, but you need to level with the American people when it comes to the Epstein files. We don't trust the federal government anymore. His words. We've lost all trust with our government, with our institutions. It's a crisis. And a major reason why we voted for you was to restore that trust, to clean everything, to clean house, to stop the stonewalling and the cover-ups and the obstruction and protecting the rich and the powerful and the wealthy. And now you're doing this on the Epstein files after you promised that you were going to release the Epstein files. And so he says, look, this is going to become an Achilles heel for you. Like, he's almost pleading with him. Look, I love you, man. I want you to succeed. But this is going to hurt you, your agenda, and the ability for you to govern. So please reconsider. Now, what? Michael Flynn is a traitor? Michael Flynn now is what? He's a weakling? He's stupid? You don't want Michael Flynn's support? It's not worth it. It's not. Whatever is in those damn files, release them. It's not worth it. And I fear, and Grace said this about Trump, and she said to God is my witness. She told me this last night. She reminded me. When the big, beautiful bill passed, if you remember, everybody said it was maybe the 2 greatest weeks of success of any president in American history. I mean, he had destroyed the Iran nuclear sites. He had gotten NATO to go to 5%. He had got a peace deal between Rwanda and the Congo, and he passed, of course, the big, beautiful bill. I mean, it was incredible. 2 weeks. It was incredible. And then we were in bed, and she said to me, literally, she said, "Watch now. He's going to destroy himself." And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "That's his pattern. Feast, famine. High success, then he sabotages himself. Success, and then sabotage. Production, productive, destructive. Productive, destructive." And she said, "I don't know what he's going to do, but something is going to happen. Or he's going to say something or do something, and everybody's going to forget about the last 2 weeks." And I'm telling you, like right on schedule. Boom, boom. Epstein, and then Ukraine. And I'm like, it's a pattern. Now, the good news is then he has another, burst of massive, incredible success. But I look at this and I go, this is so self-inflicted. And I'd love to know why. I would love to be a fly on that wall. Because from where I'm standing now, it makes no sense to me. None. None. Epstein is not worth it. He's not. He's not even a Republican. He wasn't even a Trump supporter. He wasn't even a Trump donor. I mean, this to me is a Democrat scandal from A to Z. So who ultimately is he protecting? Bill Clinton? Because Clinton's in those files. You're going to protect Bubba? You're going to protect the Clintons? Who are you going to protect? Bill Gates, the globalist? Who's been out to destroy you since you walked down the escalator? Who? The royal family? You're going to protect them? 617-266-6868. What do you make now of Trump's latest Truth Social and what he's now told reporters as well? You don't agree with him on Epstein? You're stupid? Nelson in the Freedom State, Florida. Thanks for holding, Nelson, and welcome.
Yeah, and it's a first time for me, but I love the show, and I've been following it for quite some time. And as much as I feel for this conversation that you've been carrying on, rightfully so, I'm not critical of your choice. It's just that it's almost like the country's obsessed. And it's not because necessarily we asked for it, but we're really wanting to know what's going on. But I between you and me, I almost fear the worst, and I asked myself, is there any way we could help him? What could we do to help our beloved president? What could we do? Who got to him? And another thing I'd want to ask you is, we all want this thing to be cleaned up, but the thing that we must remember, he is right on one respect, is that the way information has been released about this is the way information has been released about everything else he's mentioning. Nobody says anything because it's all them. And what can we say? He's not wrong about that, and he's wishing that we'd move on, but it doesn't. He says forever, but we know he's always got something else going on, don't we? That doesn't mean yes, I believe he's honestly hurt, and we've gotten too involved with. It's not that we are after him, but it appears to him, if you see it from his angle, it's like that's all I'm hearing. We're not talking about anything good I've done, and on and on and on it goes. And what can we do? Because it's gone on so long that we haven't had answers. We could wait a little longer if we knew we were going to get somewhere, but we don't know anything. But all we know is that something happened between the rallies and, well, I think we saw, some of us saw change after the big, beautiful bill. And then there's a change. Something is not right.
You're right. Look, something is rotten in Denmark, right? As Shakespeare famously wrote. Something is rotten. Now, look, here's my prediction. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. Obama covered up Epstein. Biden covered up Epstein. And I believe Trump is just going to continue the cover-up. I don't think anything's going to happen to Pam Bondi. She's going to stay. She's not going to give a press conference. No, they're not going to touch this anymore with a 10-foot pole. And they're just going to let the files stay. And they're not going to ever be released. And I think that's what's going to happen. And I think eventually it'll just be water under the bridge as far as he's concerned. And my honest opinion, I could be wrong. I think the Democrats, you see, if they were smart, which they're not, but if they were smart, you could really exploit this as a major potential scandal because Trump is reversing himself, and so is Bondi, and so is Kash Patel. But they're going to put up Mamdani. They met with Mamdani yesterday for breakfast in Washington. They love him. Schumer's behind him. Hakeem Jeffries is behind him. Obama is behind him. And now they're cloning more Mamdanis to run across the entire country. So what they're going to end up doing is they are going to give Trump all of the ammunition he needs to just fight the Democrats going into next year, and everybody's going to end up forgetting about Epstein. Because the sad truth of the matter is there are many powerful Democrats on that list. There's no question. So they don't want the files to be released. That's why both Republicans and Democrats don't want Ghislaine Maxwell to testify. You rarely see the swamp agree on anything when it comes to like these kind of petty partisan issues. But on this, the swamp is really coming together. This is one thing Republicans and Democrats, man, they are in lockstep on this. Ghislaine Maxwell will never testify, and will never know about that list, and will never know about that sex trafficking network. And that's either because they're on the list, or their powerful donors are on the list. And that for them is everything. So it's a conspiracy. I mean, it's an open, naked conspiracy. And what's going to happen is, it's inevitable. It's going to be another turning of the knife in the stomach for many people, where they're going to say, we have two-tier justice. One set of rules for you and me, Nelson, and for this audience, and another set for the wealthy and the powerful and the well-connected. Because this is not about Epstein. The one thing I want to make clear to everybody, this has nothing to do with Epstein. No one cares about Epstein. He's a scumbag. Honestly, for a pedophile like him, it's better that he's dead. So, do I care that someone killed him? No. Honestly, no. I don't care. Or he suicided himself. I don't believe it, but no, I don't care. What I care about are the victims. And what I care about are the powerful men who perpetrated the most unspeakable crimes against the victims, and that they're going to get away with it. And that they're being shielded and protected. And I've said this many times, but it's true. And this is why, again, I find Trump's behavior on this inexplicable. It's not his scandal. It's not. So this all began under Obama. In fact, Obama went to Epstein Island. Trump never went to Epstein Island. Obama did. So, this is going to bring down some of the most powerful Democrats, in the country. So I'm like, they covered this up for over a decade. Many of them participated in it. 617-266-6868. Jose in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Jose, and welcome.
My brother. Good morning.
Hi, Quincy. Hi, Jose.
You can call me Quincy.
No, forgive me. I have Quincy's bold on the screen. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead, Jose.
No, it's all good, brother. It's all good, brother. Before I get to my point, I want to put a message out to Mark in Medford. Mark in Medford, if you're listening, just want you to know, when you got pulled over that day on the radio, I had my keys in my hand. I was ready to come down there and bail you out. A member of Kuhner country might have been in trouble. He might have been in trouble. And I have my keys in my hand, Jeff. And Mark, if you're listening, I was on my way, brother. I was on my way.
God bless you, Jose. Seriously, man. You're a very, very nice guy. Jose, obviously you're a Trump supporter. What do you make of all this?
Well, I've been listening to you. Oh, man, you laid it out beautiful right after 8 o'clock. I'm not going to go through the whole thing of Trump's accomplishments, but the guy he's hurting is J.D. Vance or whoever the Republican nominee will be. He needs this to be in the rearview mirror. He doesn't need to be talking about this on the campaign trail.
Oh, so Jose, you think if they, just bury this and move on, that this is going to come back to bite JD, say if he's the nominee in 2028, correct?
It's not going anywhere, Jeff. JD's going to have to deal with it on the campaign trail, and he shouldn't have to deal with this on the campaign trail. He should be touting all those accomplishments that you just laid out after the 8 o'clock hour.
But Jose, let me just play devil's advocate for a second. And I hear you. I think it's a very good point and a very interesting point. But, we're only 6 months in. Look how much Trump has done already. It's incredible. 3.5 more years. That's an eternity. So, Epstein could very easily be a footnote by 2028. I mean, just in case. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Trump's going to hold on to the House and into the Senate in the midterms. But say he loses the midterms and, they impeach and there's 2 impeachments, 3 impeachments. I think that's what JD is going to be riding on going into 2028. So what do you say to the argument, Jose, that, it's very big now, obviously, but this is still very early in Trump's presidency. And in another 3.5 years, holy shamoly, who knows what's going to have happened over the next 1,000 some days. So what do you say to that argument that this will be old news by 2028?
Well, it's a great argument because Americans have short memories and, like you said, think of all the accomplishments that are to come. Now, the big, beautiful bill has been passed, Jeff. Me, for selfish reasons, I want all the illegals out. I want the false asylum claimers that can show paperwork that Biden gave them out. But back to your point, you make a very valid point, Jeff. We do have short memories, and there's a long way to go.
Jose, as always, thank you for that call. I really appreciate it, my fellow MAGA friend. Ken in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Ken, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Ken.
I called this morning to provide some healing in the files. Don't we all know, to some extent, or maybe to a massive extent, they have been corrupted in the past 4 years by the Biden administration? Really, what we have is what they're looking at is the equivalent of Geraldo Rivera's Al Capone vault. They went inside, and guess what? It's gone. Whatever may have been there in the past. Second point. Where has Donald Trump lived his life? Almost all. Upper Manhattan and Palm Beach, Florida. Where has Jeffrey Epstein lived all of his life? Same places. It's inevitable that there are people who knew both. And I'll leave it at that. That is in no way to incriminate Donald Trump. I don't think he had anything to do with him other than he happened to invite him to Mar-a-Lago and ship him out. I don't think he ever went to Epstein Island. Then, so let's get to Mondi. And I started with, she has the hardest job in D.C., period. Is she better than Sessions? Is she better than Barr? I think so. And guess what? We had a big victory yesterday, I believe. Maureen Comey. What the was she doing handling those cases? And she's gone. Big victory. Then what should we be looking to do? Should we be tearing apart Trump right now? Hell no. There's talk about a hearing in Congress. Ding, 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 ding. I love the idea. Special counsel. Ding, 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 ding. I love the idea. Now, you have said, what are the chances of a hearing? I agree with you. But we can pressure Congress, can't we? Keep reminding them, let's have the hearing, because that's the court of public opinion that we need. Each of us get to see what these people have to say beyond just giving the Fifth Amendment. Maybe that's what they do, but let's at least see it. Well, we have had massive successes everywhere, Jeff. So let me end by saying, let God enforce his will and Trump do his job.
Well, look, I think, Ken, you're making, as always, very, very good points. There's no question. I think the healing will happen. I think the healing will happen. To me, this is the issue with Pam Bondi. I'm going now by what Alan Dershowitz has now revealed. Dershowitz was his lawyer, was Epstein's lawyer. And so he said on a recent interview, he wrote a piece in the Wall Street Journal, and then he said in an interview that what's really going on is that there are two judges in Manhattan, okay, Southern District of New York, who have put the Epstein files and the Epstein case under seal. In other words, it can't be released. All that information under court order has been sealed and put under wraps. Now, he's claiming that technically, this is what Dershowitz said, there is not a list. He goes, what there is, and there are FBI affidavits in which the accusers, the victims, have named specific powerful people that they say abused them, raped them, molested them on Epstein Island. Those names are redacted, blacked out in the FBI affidavit. These two Democrat judges do not want that affidavit, those files, to be released. So they're trying to protect those that have been accused, the powerful. Now, Dershowitz says, because it's an extensive affidavit, he says it's very obvious some of the names that are being accused. You know, Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z. He goes, you can just tell that these are, and he says, very, very powerful political people. He says they're not currently in power, but he said they were in power. Some are still alive, others are dead. But he said it's these two judges, 617-266-6868. Lines are blazing. I mean, they're blazing, blazing, blazing. The moment someone calls, hangs up, boom, within a millisecond, another one's calling in. I mean, the text line, I don't think I've ever seen it this heavy. There have been times where it's really heavy, but this, it's coming in. I mean, my Messenger, my email inbox is practically full. The text line, everybody is now weighing in. 617-266-6868. Steve in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Steve, and welcome.
And Scott Brown ran in Massachusetts. He won, and the very next day on this same radio station, he said the Tea Party had nothing to do with his win, and he never won again. Now, not that Trump is running again, but he's got midterms coming up, and he's got a presidential election in 4 years. He's acting like Elon Musk, like a little kid. I didn't know we had to keep telling him how great he was, like Elon Musk did. Okay? It's crazy. And I think he's pissed because of Miss Barbie doll, Pam Bondi. He would love to fire her, but he can't. Now remember, at the Senate hearings, when they asked Pam Bondi, are you going to go after the people that went after Trump. She said no, instead of saying, if they're guilty, I will. So I think the whole thing is he is so pissed at what she's doing, and he can't do anything about it. So he's taking it out on the people that love him. That's my take. Interesting.
Very interesting. Steve, let me ask you this, because I can only piggyback off of what you're saying. He goes on in his True Social post yesterday, and he's right. The Steele dossier, the Russia collusion hoax, the 51 intelligence agents who lied, who said it was Russian, Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. And he says, these were all hoaxes and scams, and he's completely right. But what struck out to me, or forgive me, what stood out to me was, and what's Pam Bondi done about him? Like, the point being, and how come nobody's in jail? No one has paid the price for the Russia collusion hoax. No one. No one has paid the price for the lies about Hunter Biden's laptop. No one. Has Hunter Biden paid a price? They pimped out, he and his father and the Biden crime family literally pimped out U.S. foreign policy to the highest bidder. It's naked. It's quid pro quo. It's sedition. It's treason. We're talking corruption and bribery at the highest levels. Has anybody been investigated? Has anybody been arrested? No. So I'm reading all this and I'm like, no, you're right, Mr. President. You're right. But your attorney general is not doing anything about it. Your FBI director is not doing anything about it. And then you keep telling us that she's doing a fantastic job. So I have to keep asking him, so who is she arrested? I know she's arrested illegal aliens. Great. And they've won some very important Supreme Court cases. I'm not diminishing that. Great. No, Ken in New Hampshire is right. Bondi is better than Jeff Sessions. Yes. Better than Bill Barr. Yes. No question. But I think we can do better than Jeff Sessions or Bill Barr. And so, we want people locked up. Who's been locked up? Nobody's been locked up. So I just find the whole thing strange where she's great, and he's listing rightfully all of these crimes that have been committed against him and against our republic, and yet they're all walking around free. No one's been arrested. But he lashes out at us, as you put it, at his strongest supporters. Final word to you, Steve. Am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. I didn't know he needed the same attention that Musk. Musk was upset because he saved all this money and we didn't do anything about it. Trump has done tremendously. I didn't know he needed us to tell him every day how great he was. We know he's great. We don't have to keep telling him that. He cannot get rid of Bondi, and that's what's making him so upset.
Steve, thank you very much for that call. A very good call. By the way, look, I could go on. I mean, I got a whole list in front of me. It's a 4-hour show. That's why, I tried to get it in for 10 minutes at 8 o'clock to give you just a sense of his accomplishments. Here's another one. By the way, historically, did you ever think Roe v. Wade would be overturned? Trump did it. Check. Who was the one that stopped the genocide of Christians in the Middle East being committed by ISIS? Trump. Check. I never thought in my lifetime that I'd ever see the Department of Education gone. I mean, conservatives talked about it, Republicans talked about it. It just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. He just won a massive victory at the Supreme Court. The Department of Education now is literally being dismantled as you and I speak. They've already fired over 1,000 people. They're going to return education completely to the states and local governments. Within a year and a half, the Department of Education will be abolished no more. I mean, these are massive, historic accomplishments. And it's like, oh, another day, la-da-da. I'm like, this is incredible. So there's no question he's got an immensely successful presidency. To me, we're talking about one issue. We're talking about the Epstein files, that he made promises, that his attorney general made promises. And Steve, I think you're right. I think you really put your finger on it. Look, she's better than Barr and she's better than Sessions, but who isn't? She's over her head. She's out of her league and out of her depth. And I think deep down he knows it. 617, just my opinion, 617-266-6868. Because if you notice, where is the one area I could, on the economy, on energy, on foreign policy, on education now with the education department. I could go on and on. It's massive success, massive trade, massive success, massive success, massive success, historic success. But dismantling the deep state, nothing. Holding these deep state criminals accountable, nothing. That's the one area where his DOJ and FBI have fallen on the job. And you talk to most Trump supporters, they go, no, amazing, 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 amazing. On taxes, amazing. On the economy, amazing. On the border, amazing. On energy, amazing. On foreign policy, amazing. On trade, amazing. On education, amazing. You could go on and on. On everything, amazing, amazing, amazing. On the deep state, I'm not happy. Nothing. Nothing. On arresting all these people, no, nothing. Nothing. What all of you say over and over again? Just one? Can we get just one? Just one. Somebody. Comey. Brennan. Somebody, for God's sake. That's Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino. 617. Again, am I wrong? 617-266-6868. Brenda in Beverly. Thanks for holding, Brenda, and welcome.
Oh, this has been quite a morning, Jeff. So let me get this straight. So again, I have to keep repeating, an ardent 3-time voter, gone to bat for the guy, et cetera, et cetera. Now I find myself in this tenuous situation that me and millions of Trump supporters, we're the bad guys now? Is what Hillary said true? Am I actually a deplorable? Now we are receiving slaps in the face. We're being attacked by the guy that we have supported for the last decade. What he has said, again, cavalier. This is even worse than cavalier. Cavalier was at the cabinet meeting. Totally disrespectful, totally demeaning. And yes, I take this personally. I'm not going to say that I'm jumping ship now, but something is off with a capital O. Okay? Something is foul with a capital F. Who the hell is on that list? The list that Pam Bondi, again, with her couture white outfit in front of the White House on the lawn there back in February, came out, was going to do this big reveal on the Jesse Waters show. And I said before to you a couple of days ago, like a gentleman, Ken, I think, from New Hampshire, it was like the Al Capone, there's nothing here. Well, wait a minute. Either there's nothing here, so then what the hell are you talking about? Or there is something here. And I take umbrage that I and millions of us who have supported you and have put you in the White House and has been reduced to being called stupid and a weakling. Okay? And I can say that, and I would love to say that, and I think millions of us would like to trot in and say, hey, wait a minute. Okay? You have gone completely overboard on this. You are attacking the wrong people. Again, I'll say it. Something is seriously off, Jeff, with that capital O, and something is seriously foul with a capital F.
Well, Brenda, let me ask you. Let's just take it all the way to the end. I know we're just spitballing. We're just thinking out loud. We're speculating. I get it. But what does your gut tell you? What's happening? What is wrong? Why? What's the reason for all this?
Personally, and my son who's on the other side of the aisle, he's like, well, of course you're going to say that, Trump is not on the list. My gut says no. There are people on that list that they know. There's powerful people, as I've said before, powerful men walking around in custom-made suits that have been diddling with our children, okay? And I don't know why anybody would want to protect anybody that does something as heinous and evil as that. Okay, this is where the rubber meets the road. I know we all need money in our wallet. We all want money in our bank. We all want world peace. All of these things he has done, it's been a phenomenal 6 months, and we are not taking that away from him. This is a monumental issue. If we are not going to protect the children that we claim that we get all bent out of shape about, then what the hell are we here for? Then what the hell is life all about? This is insane. This is absolutely insane. And it does make me question him and make me look at him in a different way. I can't put my finger on it yet because this has just all sort of come out. So I'm processing it myself at this moment. But until we have the evidence, which they are not allowing us to have, this creates a larger problem. They are creating a problem which they can just put the fire out. Put the fire out now, because this is going to be like a 10 alarm fire if it keeps going at this rate, because millions of us in Trump country, we're not going to tolerate it. He should know his base. This is who we are. We want to get to the truth. We want justice. We want to expose dark, evil, scumbag people for the junk that they do to other people. All right? I don't want men in custom suits, powerful people walking around doing heinous things to children. And he should want that too. Hey, listen, if he can do the whole no more boys playing in girls sports and all this stuff, well, then he should get on this. This is at a much evil nature than the boys playing in girls sports. All right, I pat you on the back, bravo. Okay, round of applause. But I mean, this is not, Jeff. This is so not good. This is so not good, and he has made it worse. As Dr. Grace has said, it's productive and then destructive. He put his foot in his mouth. I mean, this is what he does. He has stepped in it. This is a big stepping in it, Jeff. A total foot in the mouth, and it's only going to get worse because you're attacking the wrong people. You're attacking us.
Brenda, thank you very much for that call. Really good call from the heart. 617-266-6868 is the number. So Brenda thinks he's protecting powerful people, maybe powerful friends, whoever. She says it's not him, obviously, but that he is covering up for somebody. Do you agree? 617-266-6868. And of course, her larger point is he's attacking the wrong people. He should not be lashing out at his fellow supporters and fellow voters. Do you agree with that? Rick in Tingsboro. Thanks for holding, Rick, and welcome.
Can you hear me, Jeff?
Loud and clear. Go ahead, Rick.
Okay. I'll tell you what. I go back and I listen to when they gave their little talk. That was Carolyn Levitt, when she came on and she just gaslit, went right over what was talked about for Epstein. It was like listening to Karine Jean-Pierre. Then Trump came on, and you listen to him, and he sounded like Chuck Schumer or Adam Schiff. It was brutal just to listen to him. The outrage and the tone deafness that he is exhibiting, and her, especially when you're looking at the pedophiles that really are involved with this, and it's really the elite. And Epstein equals the swamp. And the lack of accountability that's going on right now is what is really pissing off everybody in MAGA country. The arrogance in not being able to read his audience and read how we feel is just mystifying. If you look at going back, say to the border, when the left said it was secure, that they hid the fact that there was fentanyl, the childhood, sex, slavery, and labor, whatever. That is the left. And what we are looking at is what we expect from Trump for honesty as he exposes that, and we're not getting that. We are just rejecting what's going on, and it's really a betrayal of the MAGA country. We trusted Trump. That's why I vote for him. I still trust Trump. But, there's a positive expectancy that we are expecting from him, and what he's showing is the arrogance of success. Just to go one step further, if you look at the Catholic Church and what went on with the priests and the pedophile priests, that is what we are seeing from MAGA country. It's unacceptable. And for him not to just say, this is the issue, it's spitting in our face. And that's how I look at it right now.
Rick, your analogy to the Catholic Church, I think, is really powerful. Because as a devout Catholic, I remember it broke my heart to find out what they had done and for how many years and how deep and how systemic the cover-up was. And again, we're talking about children, for God's sakes, then mostly underage boys, some girls, but it was mostly boys, and how they were molested and abused by priests, for God's sake. And the church kept covering it up. And I feel the same thing is happening now. In other words, the powers that be covered it up. It wasn't a cover-up for a year or two. It was year after year after year after year. I feel the exact same way about Epstein. This has been going on, honestly, since George W. Bush. And then Obama, he covered up for him. And then Biden covered up for him. And one of the things, I'm not saying I voted for him to put Epstein, to release the Epstein files. I mean, I had a big list that I voted for him for. But I'm like, I want these deep state criminals and this pedophile network to be exposed and smashed, just like it was in the Catholic Church. And notice the hypocrisy, Rick. Look how the media just dumped all over the church. They still haven't forgiven him. They keep going after him over and over and over. But when it comes to powerful political people, most of them Democrats, liberals, at the highest levels of politics, of Hollywood, of corporate America, business America, academia, lawyers, some of the most powerful in the legal profession, okay, the royal family, I could go on and on, world leaders, suddenly, let's bury it. What is there to see? Sweep it under the rug. This is about Epstein. He's dead. Let's move on. No, it's not about Epstein. It's about the pedophile network that he was trafficking to that committed unspeakable crimes. They were diddling kids, man. And the worst part of it is they have it on video and they have it on tape. And they won't release the video and the tape, or they destroyed the video and the tape. I don't know what's worse. But anyway, and we have a right to know. Now, notice, again, look at the assumption that the deep state is beyond our control. No. We don't have a right to know. They can tell us what we should have and what we shouldn't have, what we should see and what we shouldn't see. Well, I'm sorry, Pam Bondi works for us. Kash Patel works for us. I'm not just saying honor your promises, honor your vows. Further, I'm saying you work for us. Show us the damn files. We're your boss. You're not our boss. So it's the arrogance. But again, look, it was the arrogance of Biden. It was the arrogance of Obama. And I wanted and I expect something different under Trump. Now, look, if Pam Bondi can't handle this, if this is too much for her, if this is too much for Kash Patel, then get rid of him. The one thing many things I love about Trump, but one of the things I most love about Trump, he's not afraid to fire people. So fire her. I don't care. I'm not going to say, 6 months into his presidency, he got rid of his attorney general. No. Get someone who will get the job done. But I'm sorry. It's not about Trump, and it's not about Pam Bondi. It's about the victims, and it's about us, the voters. We want transparency. We want accountability. Finally, let's have accountability and openness. It's like the Catholic Church. No more lying, no more cover-up. Give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Your calls next. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I know I've asked it earlier, but I want to keep taking the temperature of this audience. So, because I believe truly Kuhner country is the heart and soul of MAGA. It really is the heart and soul of Trump country. And it's why Trump's people listen to this show religiously, because they know the way Kuhner country blows is the way MAGA blows. So I want to ask all of you again. It is the Kuhner country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. President Trump lashed out at MAGA's focus on the Epstein files and said that they were being duped by Democrats and he did not need their support. Does he really mean it? Or was he just exasperated, angry, blowing off steam, and maybe he should have just, not hit post, In other words, these people, they're never happy. So let me ask all of you. A, he means it. He really is saying, if you voted for me or supported me, but you still want me to release these files, I don't want your vote. I don't want your support. Or B, he's just exasperated, blowing off some steam, and everything will be fine, and we'll all kiss and make up. In other words, does he mean it? Is this a permanent breach? Or B, he's just angry, and he's just expressing himself in a very exasperated way. A or B, you can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUHN is in national ER. You can also vote via X, and I'm always active on X. My handle there at the Kuhner Report, KUHN as in national ER. Bill in Wilmington. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. How you doing this morning?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Have great calls today. Can't disagree with the callers, Jeff. Wonderful audience. Anyway, let's go back to the beginning with this Epstein character. His occupation was financier. He was involved in a Ponzi scheme, and he ratted out his partner. His partner went to jail for 20 years. Then all this business with the child pornography and stuff started coming to light. What did they do about it then? Nothing. They gave this guy a slap on the wrist, okay? Because of all the big donors, all the big business people, you probably know all their names, Victoria's Secret owner, and some other big high-profile people that were at all his residence. Where'd this guy get all his money? Why don't they follow the money? Find out where it all came from. The island, the place in New Mexico, Florida, New York. Alan Dershowitz. There was depositions done by multiple staff of Epstein claiming he was at the Florida mansion all the time. He said it was just poor judgment on his part dealing with Epstein. And the same with the rest of them. To me, that is lamer than lame, okay? So how do you get to the bottom of it all? Epstein's dead. We know that. So these are the people they want. They want the names of these people involved. Some of them are already out there. That's what they're talking about. There's unsealed documents still. You said earlier, judges control that right now. I don't think it's a coincidence that they fired Comey's daughter. She's the one that prosecuted Maxwell. Okay, Maxwell did a deposition. She claimed Clinton was never on the island, and she couldn't remember dates. She couldn't remember a ton of things. She's probably lying. But these other people claimed that these high-profile people were there and involved with so-called massages, which was code word for sex. Now, how do you get to the bottom of it all? Related to Mr. Trump, our president, and Trump we trust. He doesn't want this controlling his narrative. He's been through so much, Jeff, right? He's trying to do everything. The economy, the foreign policy. He's got his own agenda. And this is not what he wants. Bondi opened up Pandora's box saying this, that, and the other thing. I have this, I have that. Well, she wasn't even his first choice. It was that other fellow from Florida.
Yeah, Matt Gaetz.
Nobody liked.
Bill, you're completely right. And Bill, look, you're absolutely right. On almost every point, you're completely right. And look, you're right. Bondi was the one that came out and said, I have the Epstein files. I'm reviewing them. They're on my desk. Now, all of a sudden, there's nothing to see there. And we're not going to release it. And there's no list. There's no nothing. Now, as for Epstein, look, there's no way. Everybody who knew him said he had no talent whatsoever. You talk to anybody, any of these big financial advisors, financial gurus on Wall Street, to a man and a woman, they will all tell you the only people that gave him money were people that he was blackmailing. So this idea that, why were some of the wealthiest, most powerful people in the world, not just the United States, but the world, why did they hand over $500 million to this absolute no-name fraud shyster like Epstein? Because he had compromat. He had them he was blackmailing them. And so they gave him his money and made it seem, oh, yeah, he's my advisor. Oh, that's why you're giving him $20 million or $30 million or $50 million. And in other words, they gave him money so he wouldn't release their secrets. And they did it under the guise of, he's my advisor, my financial advisor. As I said in the last segment, but it bears repeating, we know Jeffrey Epstein was blackmailing people. We know. So I know Bondi's lying to us. And Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. That memo, I know. Everybody knows. Why? Because the strange, bizarre thing about Epstein, and look, I love teachers. Don't take this as a criticism. It's the exact opposite. I love teachers, but we're talking about one of the wealthiest men in America before he passed away, okay, Jeffrey Epstein, who was a financial advisor to the stars, to the most powerful people in Hollywood, in business, in politics, around the world. This guy used to be a math teacher. That's what he was. He was a math teacher, and frankly, not a very good math teacher. And everybody said, not that bright, not that smart, not that well educated. So how do you go from being a math teacher to being a multi-billionaire who is so rich? I want you to think about this. He had the most expensive mansion in all of Manhattan. Do you know who lives in Manhattan? He had his own private island in the Virgin Islands. He had 4, not 1, not 2, not 3. He had 4 private planes. So he became one of the wealthiest, most powerful, connected, influential people in the world. And, imagine me just walking up to, most powerful, wealthiest people. Give me your money. I'll invest your money. What would they say? Get lost. Who the hell are you? But they kept giving money to Jeffrey Epstein. And the reason why they were his clients was because it all turned out he was blackmailing them. Now, he was blackmailing them because he threw notorious parties, which has been widely reported, literally thousands of times, infamous parties, and many of them involving underage girls or boys, including kids. But, they were prostitutes, they were adults. I mean, you went to an Epstein party, it was like a P. Diddy party, okay, a freak-off. So that's what he did. And then he created this ingenious blackmail model. It was like a business model. And he secretly taped them. And then he'd go up and show them the pictures or the photos or whatever and said, you sure you don't want to invest in me and have me become your financial advisor? And that's when it became, people were saying, this is incredible. They're handing him $20 million to invest, $50 million to invest. And pretty soon he amassed over $500 million who people just gave him money to invest on their behalf. And that's how he became a multi-billionaire. So don't tell me he wasn't blackmailing people. Like you're insulting my intelligence. Now, as for Maureen Comey, this is huge. She was fired yesterday, finally. We've been calling for her to be fired. Conservatives have, Trump supporters, day one. The daughter of James Comey. She was a top prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, in Manhattan, which, by the way, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel said is where most of the Epstein files were located. And that both Bondi and Patel said they feared that they were being destroyed by anti-Trump hacks and operatives. And if you remember, Kash Patel sent an army of FBI agents under Pam Bondi's authorization to grab all of those Epstein files and take them out of the Southern District of New York. And that's when she said infamously, yeah, I have them. They're sitting on my desk. I'm reviewing them right now. Suddenly, no, there are no files. Suddenly, now there's nothing. It's all nothing. Now, the point is about Maureen Comey. She was the one who prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein before he died, okay? She was the one who led the prosecution. She was the one that kept wanting to keep all of the famous names out. She didn't want it to go public. She was the one who prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell. She was the one, listen to this, that asked the judges in Manhattan, keep the names under seal. The names on the list. The accuser, the accused, the powerful pedophiles. We don't want those names to ever come out. She was the one that told the two judges, keep all this under seal. That came from her. That was her request. Now, I read the firing as, I think they're worried about the backlash among MAGA. And they're like, I think we're going to have to start cleaning house here. And we may have to release some of these files. And there's a cancer, and that cancer was Maureen Comey. So let's get rid of her. So, and Lara Trump came out on behalf of the president, this was just a few days ago, and said, we hear you, we need more transparency, we need more accountability, you need to hear more about the files, and we're looking into it. So the pressure is working. They're starting to backtrack. But you can't even begin to get real openness and transparency unless you get rid of Maureen Comey. So she was fired yesterday. But my point is, she was the one that was one of the key architects of the cover-up. Now, is she going to cover up for Donald Trump? That's why I've been saying this forever. I said, if he came anywhere close to Epstein Island, if he just flew over Epstein Island on his way, I don't know, to Bermuda or wherever, they would be in the files. They would have released it. So I know Trump is not on the list. I know it because Comey wants to cut his throat from ear to ear. Literally. Not figuratively, literally. 86-47. Either he does it or, he gets someone else to do it. Comey hates him. So Maureen Comey would have leaked if there was anything damaging about Trump or anything close to Trump. So that's why I'm saying if Comey's involved and they covered up and they're covering up for Bill Clinton in particular, the one thing about Maureen Comey, she worked hard on Ghislaine Maxwell. Don't you name Bill Clinton. Don't you name Bubba. Because it goes from Bubba to Hillary. And it goes from Hillary to very powerful donors, Democrat donors. So what I'm telling you is the firing of Maureen Comey is huge news. It's very important. But she was the one who went to the judges and said, keep this under seal. Now, give me a serious attorney general who really wants to get to the truth. I'll break those judges and I'll get those documents unsealed. Now, for whatever reason, Bondi doesn't want to do that. And she's lying to us. And so is Kash Patel, and so is Dan Bongino. And the more you lie, the more people resent it, and the more speculation there is. That's why everyone's like, Jeff, let go of the Epstein thing. They won't let go of the Epstein thing. I'm not the one posting on Truth Social. I'm not the one talking to reporters. I'm not the one insulting his own base. I'm not the one like Pam Bondi who's making all kinds of promises and then reneges. So what I'm saying is this scandal, whatever you think of it, is really of their own making. That's what's so incredible about this. Agree, disagree. Muriel in Marshfield. Thanks for holding, Muriel, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi.
Hi, I just wanted to give a little different perspective. I know there's a lot of angry people.
Yes.
I think that's why Trump's so frustrated. And, I get it. But I trust him, and I'm going to tell you why. There's a lot of corrupt people, obviously, on the left. They've tried to frame Trump for all sorts of things in the past.
Mike, you can't. I got to tell you, Muriel, really. Okay, let's go right back to Mariel in Marshfield. Mariel, please, I want you to pick up where you left off. But just before you do, if you can answer a quick question. Mike says I'm mispronouncing your name. He says that your name is Mariel. I say it's Muriel. Who's right, Mike or me?
Muriel is the correct pronunciation.
It's Mariel.
Muriel. It's M-U-R.
M-U-R. That's what I was telling Mike. It's Muriel.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was telling him. So anyway, thank you for settling that, because Mike, 7 minutes he was on my case.
Fake news.
Oh, my God.
Now he's saying it's fake news. All right, so...
That's okay. So what I wanted to
Go ahead, Muriel.
Okay, so I really believe the Democrats, they had plenty of time to make their own phony list of people that went to Epstein Island before, because they were afraid if Trump got elected, they could just, that's the way they always operate. They have fake dossiers. They have these J6 committees. They're always after them. And I think Pam Bondi spoke too soon. She thought she had the real list. And I feel like the real evidence could be listed under the way James Comey used to operate, was just change a letter and then it would be filed somewhere else. But, I remember Rush Limbaugh used to say the Patriot Act, Obamacare, all that stuff was sitting in a desk, in a drawer somewhere. It didn't just happen that way. And I have a feeling the Democrats wanted to cover their rear ends. They had their own thing. And that's why the Democrats are screaming so loud to release the list. And the problem is all of the people on our side, now they're mad at Trump. And I think he's so frustrated because he knows they won that battle. And he probably wanted to release the list, and now we can't because there's people on there that never went. Who knows if they put his own kids on there? I mean, they're going to have to find the real. That's how I feel.
No. It's Muriel, it's a very valid point. It's a very interesting point. Here's what my question to you. Then why not just say that? I don't mean you. I mean Trump, or have Pam Bondi or Kash Patel, whoever. In other words, say, look, they tampered with the evidence. They tampered with the files. Some of them were deleted, destroyed, whatever. They moved them. They compromised them. And we believe that there are now fake names in there. Like, why not just say that and explain it? Instead, it's literally shut up, and fall in line. And if you don't, then I don't want your support. Am I making any sense?
I think they should just say that too. But, the weird thing is like none of us know what's really going on behind closed doors. So I know Trump is totally forgetting the pedophiles. He wants those pedophiles. I know he does. that's one of the biggest reasons I think he ran for office, was because of this child trafficking. So that's why I trust what he's doing, and I know something happened that we don't know about, and that's why I don't want to jump all over him. And I think the reason he's lashing out at people like on our side is because there are people that are already angry with him in a split second, and he's probably shocked that people would turn on him that quickly. I think he really wants to get these guys. I think he doesn't even know where to go from here, but I think that possibly James Comey's daughter did something with the files, but she might have corrupted him. I have a feeling it's not the real list, and they can't release it now. And I think Pam Bondi spoke way too soon, and that's why Patel and Bongino were so mad at her. I think they were mad at her, and I think Trump's frustrated, and I feel like the Democrats won this little battle, and they're laughing about it, and that's why they want it released, because it's not the real list.
Well, Muriel, I can just tell you this. There's no question that Bongino and Patel are not happy with Bondi, and they're not happy with the way she's handled this. I mean, the long knives are now out. So, anyway, Muriel, very interesting call. Really good call. Thank you. All right. Thank you for that call. All right. Let's squeeze in at least one more. Jeff in Chelmsford. Thanks for holding, Jeff, and welcome.
How's it going, Jeff?
Hi, Jeff.
You could have went on vacation for a week and just played last week's. It's the same people, the same crap. I'm sick of the Epstein stuff. The hell with it. You don't think that if Trump had the chance to expose people, he would have done it by now? Think about this. It's right. You're a smart guy. Who's the Supreme Court justice that's been voting against him, a Republican appointed one all along, and now all of a sudden he's voting his way every time? He's using this for leverage. I mean, damn, the guy's only been in for 6 months. I think Brenda wants to know the list to see if her husband's on it. But, I mean, give it a break. Let the guy work. And at the end, if he's got something and he's walking out the door, he's going to drop the bomb. That's how he works. He's frustrated. That's why he's pissed off at people. People are throwing him under the bus. He just started. He already went through 4 years of hell.
No, Jeff, I understand a lot of what you're saying, but, I mean, my understanding is, and he's reacting to people on True Social, his voters, who are just saying, show us the list, release the list. I don't know how that's throwing him under the bus, Jeff.